Okay, guys, so now let's do solve radical equations part 2. We're going to skip example 7 and example 8 because they do take a little bit more time. Okay, let's get right to solving equations. So on example 9, notice this is a cube root of 3 here, cube root of 3 there. How do we get rid of a cube root, guys? We cube both sides. The 3 power gets rid of the cube root. I'm left with x plus 6 equals. The cube gets rid of the cube root here. Now, we have to understand that we're also cubing the 2. That could be the tricky part to understand. So 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And the cube root of the cube, or the cube of the cube root, cancels out. And we're left with x minus 1. So we have x plus 6 equal to, let's distribute the 8 here, 8x minus 8, and now we have to solve. So why don't we go ahead and minus x both sides, guys? So our 6 will equal 7x minus 8. Let's now add 8 to both sides. 7x equals 14. So x, therefore, must be 2. All I did was divide by 7. Okay. Let's go on to the next example. Notice the square roots, guys. What are we going to do? We are going to square both sides. Here, the square root cancels out. We have 7x plus 2. Here, we have to realize that 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. The square will also cancel out this square root. We're left with 3x minus 2. So 7x plus 2 will equal 9 times 3 is 27x. 9 times negative 2 is negative 18. Now we can finally solve. I'm going to go ahead and minus 7x both sides. So 2 is going to be 20x minus 18. I'm now going to add 18 to both sides. 20 equals 20x. When I divide by 20, I know that x is simply 1. Okay, next one. Remember, a half, guys, is really a square root. A half a power is really a square root. So this time, we're going to square both sides. Square cancels out the square root. 2x plus 15 equals x squared. Oh, we got a quadratic, guys. So, what am I going to do? I like x squared to stay positive, so I'm going to minus 2x both sides. I'm also going to minus 15 both sides. Now, I have 0 equal to, let's put this in order over here, guys. X squared minus 2x minus 15. And this, we should know we can solve by factoring. So that's what we're going to do. We need a negative 15 with a negative 2 in the middle. Negative 15 with a negative 2 for my sum in the middle. Well, 3 times 5, guys, is 15. Now, I need a negative 2, so I'm going to do a 3 minus 5. And, of course, 3 times negative 5 will give me negative 15, just like 3 minus 5 will give me the negative 2. So, taking those two numbers, they're going to tell us our factored form. 0 equals x plus 3 times x minus 5. Solving here, we should know that's negative 3. Solving here, we should know that's a 5. So my two solutions are negative 3 and 5. Now, there's one added twist, guys. There's one added twist. If I take negative 3 and plug it in for x, notice I will get the square root. Remember, that's the square root of 2 times negative 3 plus 15. That's actually the square root of 9, guys, which is 3. But over here, when I plug in negative 3, I get negative 3. Does 3 equal negative 3? No. Negative 3, guys, is what we call extraneous. Even though it worked initially algebraically when we solved for it, guys, when we plug it back in, it doesn't work. So therefore, 5 is the only answer. Plug in 5, guys, it'll work perfectly. 5 is the only correct answer. For example, 11. 12. Again, does everyone understand? That's the square root. So we have 2x equals the square root of 4x plus 8. I need to square both sides. So the 2 must be squared, as I showed you in the previous problem. That's 4. The x squared is x squared equals, of course, here the square cancels out the square root. I'm just left with 4x plus 8. Now, guys, I'm going to minus 4x both sides. I'm going to minus 8 both sides. The goal is to keep my x squared positive, which makes it easier to factor. So I have 4x squared minus 4x minus 8, minus 4x minus 8, right? Equal, of course, that's 0 and that's 0. Now, guys, I want to remind you what's going to make this much easier, literally 10 times easier, is notice how all the numbers are based on 4, the factor of 4. Let's divide out the 4. You ready? 4x squared divided by 4 is x squared. Minus 4x divided by 4 is minus x. Minus 8 divided by 4 is minus 2. Now we have something much easier to factor. So using the x method, guys, I know I need a negative 2 with a negative 1. Again, I need a negative 2 for my product. I need this negative 1 for my sum. 1 times 2 is 2, of course. To get the negative 1, I need to do 1 minus 2. And of course, 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. I have it factored. So this tells me x plus 1, x minus 2 equals 0. Right here, negative 1 would make it 0. Right here, sorry about that, guys, 2 would make it 0. And like the previous problem, guys, we know negative 1 is extraneous. Because if I plug in negative 1 there, guys, I get a negative 2. And this square root cannot be a negative number. So 2, therefore, is my only valid answer. Negative 1, even though it worked out initially, when we plug it back in, it does not work correctly. It's what we call extraneous. Okay? So, guys, hopefully you will study this video, rewind, watch it over again. And this obviously will help us learn to solve these radical equations that much better. See you in class.